and welcome back to Industrious. I'm your host, Micaiah Shaw, and we're back from a bit of a break. I'm excited to discuss today's topic with you. Last time I should say, my sister and I, discussed organization of stuff, organization of things. And this time, in this episode, I'd like to discuss organization of time or time management. Now, I've used many methods in the past to manage my time, and when I sat down to think about how I wanted to talk about this in today's episode, I started to realize that my time management and how I go about organizing myself really depends on my season of life, as I'm sure is true for most anyone. At different times, different time management methods work for me. Right? Now that I am 9 months into the world of 2 kids, I've started to be noticing a pattern. I have gone through different phases of working from physical lists. I love to write out boxes that I get to tick off. I've also done things like having specific days of the week for specific tasks. Different chores that happen every single Tuesday or every single Wednesday, etc. And those have worked really well for me at different times throughout the years. But it really depends on how I'm doing with my kids and how I'm doing with other external factors. So I've been a student in college and different time management things work then. And then after getting married, there was more balancing to do, different priorities, I guess. And then having kids, the cycle is much tighter. I feel like every couple months, somebody's schedule or what somebody needs changes, and that means that how I go about planning also changes. So with that, I've also had different jobs that I work from home, very part-time. Usually it's very flexible. Last school year, I was teaching online classes from home, but I only had one kiddo at the time, and they were online classes that landed in the morning hours from 10 to 12, so that was perfectly fit right where Graham always took his morning nap. So I was able to easily fit in teaching those classes while he was quiet in his bed for most of the time. I probably stretched the morning nap much longer than most people do, but it was very convenient for me at that time. And since having 2 kids, I think what I've started to notice is a pattern in how these things cycle through. At the very beginning, it's very much just hang on tight with all you've got through the newborn month or 2. The first couple months is just tackling whatever you can, whenever you can, and sleeping a lot or trying to at different times of the day. And now that my second is starting to follow more of a pattern or more of a schedule, I'm able to follow more of a schedule. So what I've found that I keep coming back to is this method of time management that I learned from a gal named Jordan Page. She has a YouTube channel and she's an organization guru, I guess you could say. She's got 8 kids and she's all about planning and organizing and buying things on. She's very much cheap, thrifty, all about those sorts of things. Very inspiring. Some of it has worked for me, some of it hasn't. But the one thing that I have picked up from her and used and keep coming back to, even after crazy busy seasons like a newborn season or things like that, is her block scheduling method. This has been really, really beneficial to me in the past. And block scheduling, basically, the concept behind it is that you have a set block schedule. So there are different times in your day, like 8 to 10, different set blocks of time in your day where you do specific things. So for a while, I was on a block schedule where I would have, the time that I get up and then time for breakfast with my firstborn before we had our second. My block schedule looked like the first block was breakfast and cleaning up the house or making sure everything was organized for the day. And then he went down for a nap, and then my next block was teaching. And so it went from 10 to 12, that was teaching. And then after teaching, it was noon to second nap time was lunch and any errands that happened outside of the house. And that always happened in that block of time. And then second nap was when I would do any grading or lesson planning for the next day. And then once he's up from the second nap, it was dinner time. So that second nap time, that block of time in the afternoon usually included some dinner prep too. But then after dinner, all of this was set up so that after dinner, I would have a shorter block of time, maybe an hour to 30 minutes, that was cleaning and tidying the house. And then by 9 p.m. I had clocked out basically. So I had set up my work days that different hours were filled with specific types of things. And then by the end of the day, I clocked out basically, and then I got to spend that time with my husband so that I wasn't still running around trying to organize and clean and do any little task that needed to be done. I got to just unwind a bit with him because he had done a full 10-hour day at work and was ready to relax and not sit and watch me work at the house. So that was a really beneficial method for me at the time. And I'd say when I first started the block scheduling method, I even plugged it into my phone. So I sat down and I figured out how I should organize my blocks the whole week to begin with, and then parsing it down to each individual day as well. Most of my days looked pretty similar at that time because I taught every single day of the week except for Friday. So they were pretty mirror image days, and then Fridays were just kind of a wild card day. But when I sat down and planned it all out, I even put all of the blocks into my phone so that I got kind of an alarm, an alert telling me, hey, this next block is for this specific thing. You are lesson planning for this block of time. And that was really helpful for me as I developed the habit or got into the habit of this block schedule. And now I don't have those alarms on my phone anymore. It's more, I would say now I've still got a bit of a block schedule, but it's a little more fluid. My days aren't as identical as similar as they used to be. Now I've got more of a Monday, Wednesday type days and Tuesday, Thursday type days. Monday and Wednesday we always go to the gym in the morning, and Tuesday, Thursdays we don't have set commitments in the same way. And there are 2 kiddos to think of and 2 different nap schedules to think of and coordinate together. So that changes the block schedule a little bit. I'd say that I hold it a little more loosely now, but having that foundation has really helped me feel like I can settle on something. Now I think I have a little more of a set day for different tasks around the house. So because Mondays and Wednesdays are very busy outside of the house, Tuesday has become my cleaning day, and that's when we get a lot of once a week chores done, so like laundry and mopping floors and vacuuming everything and cleaning the bathroom. That sort of thing happens on my Tuesdays, which is very nice. I always feel like I need the Tuesday once the Tuesday is rolled around. And then Thursday is another more flexible day where we get anything else done that needs to be done around the house, or we go out and about and run more errands that we haven't been able to get to during the week, or more fun errands like going to a park now that the weather is really nice, and things like that. And then Fridays are still very much a wild card days because we are blessed with having my husband is on a four-day week work schedule. So he has Fridays off, so that means that we get to do things as a family, or now that the spring and summertime is hit, now we are either doing home renovation projects or going camping. So that's what we do with our weeks. I have noticed that physical lists are still very helpful for me, especially when it comes to prioritization. I find that I have to sit down and plan out for my week what my priorities are, because there's a lot of things that I could be doing with my time, but what do I have to be doing with my time? Now I am no longer teaching, so I no longer have the same time commitments every morning. Now I do not a project. Now I do a contracting position where it's 20 hours a week, but I can do it whenever I like during my day. It's just that I have to fit in about 20 hours each week. So usually I try to get those in during nap time and during the school year, because Eric, my husband, has been studying to become an electrician. During the school year, he is studying in the evenings, so it's pretty easy for me to sit down and do my work with him, and that way it's not like I am shutting him out and doing my work while he's home and wanting to relax. He's also studying next to me, and so it's a little bit of a camaraderie there, which is nice. But so that's a much more flexible work schedule, but that is a priority on my prioritization list, right? And then things that have to get done, like grocery shopping and feeding the family, making dinner, those things have to happen. So those are high on my priority list. But then there are other things that I'd like to get to that is very helpful for me to visualize and see out in front of me for my little checklist. I get a little checkbox. I try to do that pretty regularly. I have found that since having children, mental lists are no longer something that I can utilize successfully. I don't have the ability to hold things in my brain for long periods of time like I used to be able to. And then I end up knowing that I've forgotten something but not being able to discover what that thing was. And then my other big tip for time management is something that I still am trying to figure out, or not that I'm trying to figure it out, but it's something that I have to keep coming back to and starting over, or realizing I need to reinvest energy in this part of the time management goal, and that is distraction management. So whether it's my phone or, my phone is the big distraction. Different scrolling apps, needing to look at Instagram, needing to check notifications, needing to refresh my email, things like that are a huge distraction and do take away from any good use of time throughout my day, and is never high on the priority list, but somehow creeps into all of those little moments in your day that you feel like you can just sit down and take a minute, and then that turns into 10 minutes, which turns into 15 minutes. So I have found that I have an iPhone, and they have a setting where they can kind of let you know how much time you spent on your phone this past week. And I turned on that setting probably a couple years ago, and getting an alert every single weekend, or mine comes up on Sundays, is a good reminder. It's a good bit of a kick in the pants if I'm getting an alert that says, hey, you've spent 6 hours a day, or nothing that bad, but 5 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours a day the past week on average on your phone. That's a bit of a shocker, and it makes you kind of think about how you're using your phone and how you're not using your time for other things. And so it's been very helpful for me to have that visual reminder, or that text reminder, that little notification reminder every week. And then there's also settings. I'm sure it's not just on iPhones. It's been a while since I've owned an Android, but there are always settings that you can find, or apps that you can find, to help you set time limits on certain apps. So I have time limits set on social media apps on my phone, so I can only spend up to an hour collectively on social media apps each day, and that's really helpful for me to keep myself focused on what I need to be focused on. I would also say that all of this is very helpful. All of these different methods and tactics are very helpful for me to be very productive and focused on one or two specific things at a time. So if I have a block of time in which I am supposed to be cleaning the kitchen, or I am supposed to be doing laundry, I can focus on that and get that done instead of trying to do too many things at once and not getting any of those things done. And then there's always an end to that time, and by that end of that time, I can stop, be done with that, and then relax and play with my kids, or go for a walk, or do other things that are also very important and should be priorities in my life. And I think that that's been very useful for me. And I hope that it has been useful for you too, to hear about how I work or strive to manage my time. Hopefully it will inspire you or be helpful to you in some way as you go about planning your weeks and days, your hours, your minutes. Hopefully this is a blessing to you. And on that note, until next time, bye.